Really want to warmly welcome Anna Galotti. So this is our AI in coaching session, and it's the UK ICF Bath and Bristol group that are hosting this session this evening. My name's Jane Morris, for those of you that haven't met me before. I'm the group lead for the Bath and Bristol group, and I'm an MCC coach and member of the board for the UK ICF. I have a specialism in burnout and have worked in that particular area now for nearly 2 decades, and I'm a supervisor and mentor coach, and came into this group to deliver a workshop a bit like this one around about 1.5 years ago, and then ended up adopting the group and getting even more heavily involved with the ICF. But I'm also involved with the AC and the EMCC as a fellow for the AC and a senior level coach for the EMCC. I'm very keen on bridging and bringing together people in general and professions and professional bodies. So all are welcome. So don't feel put off if you're not ICF aligned, or even if you're not yet a coach and you're just coach curious. I'm really keen for this space to be for everybody who's curious about coaching and where they might like that to take them, if anywhere. And each month we have a remote session like this with different topics, different formats. Sometimes it's somebody coming and delivering a workshop, which is the format that we have tonight. Next month when we meet, it will be a panel discussion, and that'll be a different format again. And then we do MCC demos, which for those that aren't familiar with the ICF, MCC just means you've been coaching for a significant number of years and have clocked up a significant number of hours, and you've demonstrated that you practice at a certain level of competency. And so we like to show people what that looks like, and especially for people that are progressing through the different accredited levels, what the difference is between the different levels. And so we share about the competencies and what's involved with that when we do those. And then every 4th session we get together in person for those of us that are local to Bath and Bristol. And if you're ever passing through and you feel like coming along, you're more than welcome to those as well. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Anna to introduce herself to you and introduce you to the topic. And while she does that, I'm going to pop her name and title in the chat for you, so you can squirrel away after the session and look her up, and also have a read of an article that she wrote that has been what's led me to connect with Anna. So she wrote a fantastic article about AI in coaching, and so her workshop will be about that, with lots of opportunity for discussion and polls and questions at the end as well. So I'll leave you in Anna's hands.
Thank you, Jane. Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be here with your chapter. I am an MCC coach. I've been since 2009. I am Italian originally, but I lived in France for 20 years, where I founded my coaching company, and then I moved to the US, to New York, in 2013, and I created another coaching company with the same name, the same brand, but 2 locations, and now I'm in Paris. So I go back and forth between Paris and New York. I'm also quite active in ICF, because I've been the chair of the board, global board called Thought Leadership Institute, which is a board in charge of thinking about the future of coaching. And in this capacity, so it was up until 2020 up until 2023, and this is when ChatGPT came into the equation. So we started being much into AI and coaching, and then since I ended my term as a chair, they asked me to be the chair of the special task force of coaching and AI in ICF Global. For 2 years, we are two co-chairs, actually. For 2 years, we worked a lot with the ICF, with the board, the general board, etc., Magda, the CEO, etc., to convince them to hire a specialist of coaching and AI within ICF, because we are external. And so this is what they did at the beginning of the year. So I'm very proud of this achievement. And now I'm working with this lady to create workshops, to create awareness within ICF about coaching and AI, and to promote what ICF is doing about the topic with other specialists, etc. And the first conference, I will hold the first conference, I will be the speaker, is on 24th of July. I don't know, from noon to 1 Eastern time. So you make the computation about the UK time, because I'm a bit lost into all these time zones. So I'm here, I think, in this capacity as well, and I regularly also publish on LinkedIn posts concerning AI and coaching, and I am, I would say, eager learning about the topic, and so I read quite a lot because it's rapidly evolving, and you will see, I will give you some highlights of the last news and the impact they have in our profession. So the idea today is to explore the pros and cons of AI in coaching, and I invite you to ask some questions in the chat if you want throughout the presentations, but I will at some point stop to give the space and the floor to you to ask some questions, and then I will continue until the end. If there is time, we are going to have some breakout room to discuss about the topic. So you will see during the presentation, I will say make you travel in, I would say, wider solid considerations about the world around us and the role of coaches in this world. And part of what is the world around us is about AI. And my intention is not only to give you information about what's going on, but also to help you to ask yourself the right questions so that you can help your clients at best. And if you know AI a bit, some stuff I'm going to tell you is, you will know some of the stuff. If you don't know AI at all, I will start from the beginning so you will not be lost. So I'm starting by, if my slides won't work. Yes, I'm starting with the bunny word. I suppose maybe some of you know the VUCA word, which is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And the new VUCA is bunny. Did you know? Some of you know the bunny, or is it new? No. Okay. Some of you do not know. So the bunny, as I said, is the next step into the, I would say, complexity of the world we live in. It's needless to say that we are in a geopolitically, economically, at societal level, we are in a transition phase. It's an era of transition. We don't know exactly what it will where it will lead us, but the awareness is that things are becoming very unstable, more than 20 years ago, I would say. So as coaches, our role is not to create stability, because the world is unstable per se, but to help our clients to step back and to have a critical thinking about what's happening around. And here we have a real role. So Bunny, sorry, sometimes Bunny is, the first letter is brittle. So it refers to systems that appear strong, but are not actually. I give you an example. I was coaching, before this conference, I was coaching a lady in the US working in the US for a French company. And with the US, there are the tariffs, beloved tariffs. And so she is in consumer goods from this French company. And can you imagine that all these tariff things broke her plans and business plans, where it was not planned, and of course, since it was not planned, they decided to have a big transformation of the business, the organization, the way of working, etc. So they have this big transformation of the business, whereas there is an increased uncertainty, economical uncertainty. So you can imagine that everything basically she could imagine did not happen, and other things happened. So I'm helping her to keep her calm as much as possible, and her capability to step back in this brittle environment. And then this creates anxiety. I think that you all witness that our clients suffer of anxiety because of risk of burnout. It increased, the risk of burnout increased a lot, and there is overload of mental overload, issues in mental health, talking about clients working in organizations, but also think about the young generation. And by the way, there is this very interesting book of NYU professor called The Anxious Generation, and I recommend you to read it. And then it's non-linear, meaning that the causes and effects are no longer predictable or proportional. I give you another example. I coach a CEO of a medium-sized company. Most of his employees were shareholders, so they had shares of the company. At some point, he sold the company to an hedge fund, a private equity, and so people should have been happy because they were, taking the money from their shares. And actually, some of them, specifically the French side, put themselves on strike. So, and this, at some point, he was completely overwhelmed because he didn't understand why they put themselves on strike. The employees in the US didn't understand why the French were on strike. So here again, non-linear. And then incomprehensible. Things sometimes do not make sense. Why is it happening? We don't know, actually. So you see a lot of instability. And some studies say that AI is not good in a very uncertain world because it is based on data it gathers. So it can tells us stuff from the past and foreseeing the future, but based on data on the past. So all these, I would say, adaptability, but also how to emotionally handle all this bunny world is something that is our prerogative, is on us, on human beings, to help our clients on it. And of course, part of this instability is AI coming, because it's not coming also only for us, it's coming for our clients. And it creates a lot of disruptors, and we're going to talk about it. The other thing I found extremely interesting is this study from the World Economic Forum. I don't know if you saw it on, it was on LinkedIn at some point. And you can see that in the upper right quadrants, the core skills for 2030 most of them are about resilience, flexibility, agility, creative thinking, curiosity and lifelong learning, talent management, systemic thinking, so having this 360 view of the world, leadership and social influence. So here you can see that these are very soft skills. There are some hard skills there, but most of them are soft skills. And this is where we have a place to take as coaches, but also this is where we need to question ourselves in this very rapidly changing world. How do I approach these skills? How do I cultivate these skills for me? Because if you cultivate these skills for you, then you can help your clients go through these skills and cultivate them. So, you know, as coaches, we are like mirrors of our clients. I wanted to say something else, which is quite important in the AI world, and it's important for us as coaches. An article from The Economist in February 2025. The title is "How AI Will Divide the Best from the Rest." So there is the wrong idea that AI will help the less skilled workers. Because it gives a lot of information. You have a question, you ask, and it gives the answer. But all this information that AI is giving us I mean, first of all, you need to check it because you need to take it with a grain of salt. But also, it has been proven that people who already know their topic, they can, first of all, prompting AI better. And also they can go through the data AI is providing with a critical, critical sense, critical thinking, not just taking the information and giving it. There was a client who gave me the example of a meeting there was a brainstorming in this meeting, and this guy came into the meeting after prompting AI about the brainstorming, and he was just giving ideas of AI, and it was very dry. So she says we need to be aware that we need to keep this creative thinking, because this is what distinguishes us, and AI can help us. So even you as coach, if you use AI, when use it in material to facilitate your work, and if there's some material you don't know, please check the sources. I always check my sources. Then here I'm going a bit on what's AI, because I want to go into what is the impact of this AI on us. So the AI is the ability of the machine to imitate human intelligence. There is the AI. Within the AI, we have machine learning, so the capability of the machine to learn. Then we have deep learning, which is the same thing as machine learning, but when AI is learning from a huge amount of data. And then you have generative AI, who generates contents. ChatGPT generates video, generates pictures, text, whatever. And within it, we use AI with the natural language, so our natural language. So we can talk with the AI. And here there is something else which is extremely interesting for me. So what is narrow, general, and super AI? Narrow AI is like ChatGPT, Google Translate, credit card fraudulent transactions, which means that there is AI is gathering the data and then makes conclusions, but in a quite simple way. And for example, also the chatbot in sometimes in the customer services, they are considered as narrow AI. General AI is an AI which understands, learns, apply knowledge in various fields like just a human being. And super AI, okay, is when surpasses human intelligence. We're not there. We're not yet in general AI, but if you look at what these guys say, Demis Hassabis is the CEO of DeepMind of Google. Sam Altman is the CEO of ChatGPT, and Dario Amodei is the CEO of Claude. which is a competitor of ChatGPT, which I prefer. We'll talk about it later. And you can see that Dario Modei says by 2026, Sam Altman and Demis Hassabis, they say 5 to 10 years. Metaculus Community Forecast, which is a platform specialized in forecasts, say 20% by 2027, 50% of probability by 2031. So you can see it's coming. But for me, it's not yet clear how they measure that AI intelligence is equal to human intelligence, because it would require to specifically define human intelligence, and still there is disagreement about it. But anyway, this is interesting to know, because you see that if we as coaches we say, oh, we are better of AI. This is not true, but we are different than AI. This is true. So instead of making a competition with AI, let's focus on where and why we are different, to leverage on this difference. The latest news, and you will see that is AI. We are different from AI, but we are not necessarily better everywhere. So the first of the latest news is the first and the second, they come a bit together. Now AI has a long-term memory, meaning that if you discuss with ChatGPT, if you discuss with a personal development AI, if you discuss with almost any developed AI, it will remember what you have said in previous prompt, in previous conversations. Now there are large reasoning models. So if you prompt AI with specific, I would say, scientific questions, for example, or programming questions, AI or complex questions, AI now takes a time to think. And then it gives you the answer, because before it was simply gathering information and giving back the information. Now it gathers information, analyzes the information, compare the information, make decisions about which information to provide, and then makes decision about which information to provide. So just to see that it evolved a lot. It understands context. Meaning it has not only what you're just saying, but it puts it into a context. It has emotional acumen, and a recent study of neurosciencenews.com of May 2025, it says that AI scored 82% versus human participants in emotional intelligence, meaning adapting the response to what was some situations. So just to say that I don't want to scare you, because I repeat, it's not a competition, it's to find why we're different. Then now we have multimodal AI, videos and photos look real. Some of them you cannot even imagine that they're produced by generative AI. There are AI agents and agentic AI. Now they act upon you. You can ask, for example, Copilot to write emails for you, to select some emails for you, to synthesize emails. You can ask AI to organize your trip and to make reservations. So the interesting point here is that tech people, they say that it's fantastic, AI agents, agentics, AI are great, etc. Then I tried some of them. We're not there yet. So if you will read articles about it's fantastic, it's great. No. So not yet, but it's coming. So meaning that AI can act upon us. And then, and so just to say about the the rapidity of the development of AI. They started talking about agents, agentic AI, I would say around the second half of 2024, and now they really exist. So just put things into perspective. AI now is, there is this synthetic learning, so it learned a lot from, from the web, all the information, but now it's learning from itself. Which also generates questions, ethical questions, because okay, where did you gather this information from? And the other hype of the tech guys is that people now they create a company on their own and they make millions with only one person. This it's true, I would say, in the Silicon Valley. But if you always listen to the Hard Fork, the last episode, they were talking with the chief product officer of Claude, as I said, the competitor of ChatGPT, and they were asking him, you know, you are creating an AI which is going to replace us, actually. And the crisis of the first job, the young people looking for a job is demonstrating that these jobs are taken by AI more and more. So here again, if you take this with a grain of salt, you can see that, oh my God, AI is taking my job, but it's taking the job also of our clients. So here there is a societal transformation, and this is where we, with our humanity, with our imperfection, we can come into the equation. So we will always have work, because to accompany this societal transformation of mindset on how to learn new skill sets, of not feeling overwhelmed by AI, but trying to work the best we can with it, is a shift of mentality, of mindset, which is quite huge. And we need to be also actors of this transformation, instead of being, overwhelmed by it, even if I have to say that sometimes I'm a bit overwhelmed myself. So now I want to launch a poll, Jane, and I would like to ask you, wait a second, because I need to explain first the 5 characters. Who do you think you are into the AI approach? So the first character is, I am the maximalist. I'm excited about AI. I use it multiple times a week to improve my work and tell everyone about it. One is the underground. The underground is the person who uses AI all the time, but they hide. They do not tell anybody. Then there is the rebel. I don't buy this AI hype. I don't care. It will take our job. I don't want someone else, something else thinking instead of me. This is the rebel. And then we have the super fan, fascinated, great, but I didn't embrace it fully yet. And then the observer, the people who watch from the window. I'm interested, but not really ready, to jump. So the poll is about who are you, and is anonymous, so you can you can answer whatever, whoever you are in the poll that Jane is launching, and then we'll see the result for this group.
Did you already get it come up on the screens?
No.
No? Okay. I pressed the button. I'm not sure what's happened to it in that case, because it was all typed in and I pressed done, and then it's the first time I've done one and it looked super easy to do. So bear with me and I'll repeat it, because
if it doesn't work,
in the chat. So
yeah, think about it and put it in the chat if you want. But yeah, I think it's useful to to have a thought about it. because then in the second part, I will, wow, great. So please answer. I love in the chat the mixed. I'm between maximalist and super fun. D. Emily, I'm a rebellious maximalist. I love it.
I'm presuming you're a maximalist, Anna.
I am. But with a, I would say, cautious maximalist, I would say. I do not embrace it for the sake of it.
Right. Somebody said to me the other day, we need to be really mindful about how we interact with it so that we're informing it with care and kindness and speak to it as if it's a really good friend, not just as if we're talking to a robot that doesn't have any feelings, which I thought was interesting.
Okay, so we have a bunch of maximalists, I have to say, and then we have some super fun and observers, no underground. We have just a rebellious maximalist, love it. Okay, so we can stop the poll. And if there had been a description of an ostrich burying head in a I love it in the chat. Okay, so we can share the results, but actually we already shared them. So we can switch back to the, so now who are, let's see the percentage of it. So there are 30% of maximalists in the world, 20% of underground, 90% of rebels, 60% of super fun, and 60% of observers. So you see, it's quite distributed, but quite a bunch of maximalists, which corresponds to this group statistics, I would say. So now I want to get into it, because into how employees use AI and dig a bit into why this is happening. So you see that in a Gallup study of October 2024, 33% of employees say their organization is taking action on AI. But if you look at the following slide, only 67% of employees say they never use AI in their role. So maybe there is an underground, there are some undergrounds here. This is my hypothesis. But this corresponds to some studies that I went into to understand this figure. And actually, I would say the first reason, one of the reasons is fear, because we can see that people, for some people, it's very they think that AI will take their job, which is true, by the way. So they do not want to use it because they are scared, basically. Then there are other studies which say that AI is performing much better than us in many topics. And also that it will in many topics. But there are other two studies. That's one in Nature and one is the MIT. Which are very recent. The Nature is May 2025, and MIT is beginning of 2025, which say that the people using AI are less motivated at work. Why so? Because the study specifically of the MIT, they surveyed 1,000 scientists of the major labs, R&D labs in the world, and the discovery was that they had 39% increase in patent filing. So the efficiency increased dramatically. as you can see. But when they were asked about job satisfaction, the job satisfaction of these scientists decreased of 82%. So just saying that I would say that the reason they gave is that scientists, by definition, they love to search. They love to analyze. They love to have creativity about how they put together data, how they find ideas to go, to find solutions. They like racking their brains. And with AI, they say, okay, I'm here just to check if AI says correct things or not, or gives correct findings or not. So you see here we have this issue. This is at individual level. But then if we look at some numbers about key AI adoption, you can see that organizations increase their investment by 98%. The 76% are still in the early stage of AI adoption. 91% cite cultural resistance as the primary barrier. So you can see the fear, the motivation, but not only. So we have a role even here. And 80% of AI projects fail due to poor data quality, high costs, and lack of strategic planning. The thing is that if you, there is an article in The Economist of May 2025, Welcome to AI through of disillusionment, which says that companies struggle in adopting AI because they are siloed. And when you adopt AI, you need to transform transversally all departments. I mean, it has an impact on all the departments, on all the business lines. And so people like to preserve their turf, and therefore they are resistant to this transversality, which is required by AI. And here we have a role, guys and ladies, because as coaches, we are agent of transformation, agent of individual transformation, team transformation, and groups transformations. With individual, team, group coaching, we have a role to play to help these companies to get into it. Because anyway, it's going to come. There are some companies will be in advance, some will be late. Better to be in advance than late in this topic. But also there are structural problems, which are investments, the amount of investments, and then the fact that when companies already have a structure, CRM tool, for example, it's very difficult to embed a new tool in an old tool. And so it costs a lot of money to a lot of organizations. So you see here, it's interesting to see all the backstage of all this hype that we hear about AI, because as I said, we have a real role into it. Then this one I already said. And then the other thing I wanted to highlight, and this is also has implications for us, is the uses of AI. This is an article that was published by HBR in April 2025. So you can see the difference in the use cases of AI from 2024 to 2025. And you see the first three uses of AI are therapy companionship, number one. It was number two in 2024. Organizing my life and finding purpose, which means the three major uses of AI is for personal purpose. So it means that there are different issues, and that's why we need to be aware of them, and we can create more awareness in our clients using AI. So the first one is that and then I go here, MIT Media Lab survey in 2025 and Replica, which is a AI companion app. User studies in 2025, they say that 33.3% say their AI companion helped to reduce feelings of loneliness and anxiety. 90% of people experience loneliness and 43% severe loneliness. So you see these numbers that clearly indicate that there is a need. And since there are not enough coaches, there are not enough therapists, and since COVID, the demand has spiked. So people, they go into these AI companions. But the thing is that there is a big but, because first, when people, people who go seek for these AI companions, very often they are more vulnerable people and people who are already lonely. And they say it creates solace for me, so as you can see here. But these studies are have been done in a very short term, like 1 month use of AI companion, 1 week use of AI companion. And we lack of longitudinal studies, which means studies over time about the consequences of an extensive use of AI companions. But the thing that is already happening is the addiction. So these AI companions are always available. So people become addicted, and they go for any decision they need to make, or when they have a concern, they go seek solace for or a decision to the AI companions, which will reduce their autonomy as well, their resilience, because when we have something which is available 24/7, we decrease our resilience. Resilience is being capable of managing frustration, being capable of managing a friend or a family member who doesn't agree with us, or who is in a bad mood, who responds poorly to our requests. And this is healthy, actually. I mean, if it's too frequent, it's not healthy anymore, I agree. But it's healthy to being able to manage this frustration. So here again, we have a role, and we can explicit our role as coaches in saying, sometimes you will be frustrated with me. And this is part of the game, it's part of the learning, it's part of the journey. If you don't have it, it means that you will not learn from yourself. You do not develop your own resilience, your own agency about the decision you want to make. And the other thing is that, and in the art fork, where they talk about sycophancy, the New York Times podcast, they talk about the fact that now all these companions are structured like the social media, meaning they are structured more and more to please you, so that you can make your like. And so it becomes very, they agree more and more with you. They know you, so they continue to agree and they show leniency even for dysfunctional behaviors. So they do not confront much. Whereas in the real life, sometimes you have a person who, you don't agree with or treats you poorly, and that's part of life. Learning how to manage all this. So there is a real concern specifically for the younger generation, but not only. Because on the long run, this can increase loneliness, actually, because people just have these companions to talk to, and so they seek less and less human interactions. So here, if you coach parents, if you coach young people, if you coach even managers who have kids, you can alert them about this, because they will be confronted maybe by themselves. And also, I have some clients who tell me, why do I need to buy a specific coaching AI chatbot for my entry-level managers while I have ChatGPT? And I say, wait. The safety of the data is not the same. If you buy a real good AI chatbot coaching for your entry-level managers, you should ask, how do they treat the data? How do they store them? When do they delete it? And all this stuff about data and privacy. Whereas most of these apps, it's very it's non-transparent, I would say. It's very obscure how they treat data, how they are analyzed, where they go, basically. So there is also a question of privacy and data protection. And now I want to go into the tools for coaches, dig into the tools for coaches to give you a bit more, food for thought about these tools that can ease our lives, but also we need to be careful how do we use them. So the first tool, and I know most of the people behind these tools, so I'm not just giving tools. So CoachBox is a tool for marketing of your coaching practice. It even creates your avatar with your personality, so people can have a gist of your, how you look and feel of who you are before engaging into a coaching journey with you. And so it helps you with the marketing, create a landing page, etc. Then you have Ovida. Ovida is a British company, by the way. I'm an investor in Ovida, so I want to be very transparent with you. And basically, they are great because they record the coaching sessions, and they provide a very specific qualitative and quantitative feedback to the coach based on the PCC markers. So very useful to grow as a coach. Then you have thich.com, which is the equivalent of Ovida. It's an Italian lady that I know, Carla Benedetti. She's very good as well. So the same. Then I use a lot Notebook LM, which is Google, because you can create your own space. Now also on Claude and ChatGPT you can do it, but I like it because you can create projects. You can put the documents concerning one of the topics for them you want to cover, and then you can ask prompts based on your data. So the beauty of it is that for example, I give you an example of how I use it. I write my articles on LinkedIn, and as I said, I'm very thorough about my sources. So first I read my articles, I screen them, and then I keep the ones I think are the most relevant and most, I would say, highest reputation. I put them into Notebook LM, and I prompt Notebook LM and saying, I want to write an article with this and that. So I sort of give the outline of my article with some ideas. It's very good because it gives it based on your sources. So you know where it takes the sources and also it quotes the sources. So it's I like it a lot. And then once it's written, I go into Claude, I say write it in a better way with my style, etc. So it writes it in a more fancy way. And then of course I screen everything and then I decide to publish. And then you have Claude. Also what I do on Claude is better than ChatGPT because it has more emotional nuances when in the results it gives you. So I use it a lot for writing, but also, for example, I prompt it with some when I need to design a learning journey. Of course, I know my topics because, as I said before, the more you know, the more you can check if the AI is telling you relevant stuff and reliable stuff. And so I prompt it so it gives me the contents based on my prompts because I know what I'm looking for. or sometimes it creates role plays for exercises for the clients. And so it helps save my life. But also I use Claude. For example, I debrief Hogan. I don't know if you know Hogan assessment. There are 3 reports which are quite complex to analyze. So first I analyze them, and then I ask Claude, I put the numbers, for each competency, the ranking of the person without putting the reports into Claude. Of course, I put just the ranking without names, nothing. And then I ask, what would you say about this person? And give me an answer. And then I put the second report. How do you combine the 2 reports? And give me an answer. And then the third report. And then the last one, it gave me a very tough feedback for this poor lady that so I had the debriefing and I said, there is something wrong here. And then I put the role of the lady. And I say, considering her role, would you revise the analysis? And actually, yes, it revised. So I said, okay, it makes sense now. But of course, as I said, I make my own idea before about it. Then I use Claude, and I see, oh, there is something wrong, or sounds fine. And then I recontrol everything, and I select the data that I think are the most relevant for my client. But just to say that instead of 2 hours work, 2.5, it's 1 hour. A game changer. And then, of course, you have Zoom AI Companion, so you can record the sessions. We will talk about it. Because here, all these, I would say CoachBox, Ovida, and THEach.com, they have all the requirements, for the privacy and data protection of the European Union, which has very high standards. But for example, Zoom AI Companion, Notebook LM, Claude, they don't. And I also prefer Claude to ChatGPT because Claude is not linked to internet. And the way they train AI, there is a much data screening by humans, and so guidelines that are much more sophisticated than ChatGPT, which just takes from internet. And then I made a LinkedIn post about it. So recording or not recording the sessions. First of all, as Kat is saying, sometimes it's not very accurate. But if you look thoroughly about what the different, guidelines say, because I went into Zoom, I went into Teams, and I went into Google. Because, and the thing is that very often they use third parties to analyze the data, or to store the data, or to do something with the data. And so the problem is not necessarily the data stored by them, because they can say, okay, we comply with the regulation, it's great. But then when they use the data, you see closely, there are third parties involved, and they don't control them. And also, I just wanted to go into Microsoft Teams. This is their dashboard about privacy and data protection and data security. So basically, you need a PhD in computer science to understand. Personally, it's you can configure it, but look. So I wanted to stop here because I've been talking a lot, and see if you have any questions or considerations or whatever you want to share.
Feel free to take yourselves off mute. We also thought about doing a breakout room. So if you'd rather have like a 5-10 minute breakout and then come back with questions and reflections.
Yeah. What I would like to maybe you to think in breakout rooms, we can give 10 minutes, is what do you think is the impact on our job of AI? And what do you think we need to be concerned about, and how can we help our clients? So basically, do you use AI? What is your approach, and what is your awareness about using AI with the dangers and the advantages of it? So we can create breakout rooms, I don't know, of 3-4 people. Jane?
Perfect. Okay, I've got them ready to go, and I've popped a kind of a question of sorts, amalgamating what you just said in the chat as a guide for anyone who would like it. Okay, 10 minutes on the clock, 30-second countdown, and we'll see you on the other side. So welcome back into the space, and we would love to welcome any reflections that anyone would like to share. Just to reassure you that the breakout rooms were not recorded while you were in there, and please to sort of bring your coaching hats on, those of you at coaches and anyone new to coaching, in that we bring back our own reflections, not the content that anybody else shared. That's theirs to share. So your own take on things, please, if you're sharing a reflection, and any questions, of course, welcome back with you as well to Anna. Just feel free to pop yourself off mute. You can raise your hand as well, however you feel most comfortable.
My kind person, you can talk.
Paul.
Hello, thanks for the discussion. I think the reflection was a bit of, the question you asked is like, you know, it goes from very practical, pragmatic, how do I use these tools in a very safe kind of way? Like, how can I record something? What do I need to worry about in terms of data? And there's a whole lot of stuff around that. And then there's a philosophical thing, which is like, who am I as a person? Who am I as a coach? What is the meaning of life? Which is a massive question. So there's an awful lot in that. And I think some of it helps to, and it doesn't help that the dialogue around AI is equally kind of like, Apple wrote today that these machines they can't really reason, and the machines, the models are collapsing in on themselves, and they're not producing the things that they claim they're doing. And then you've got somebody who's like, it's not just that it's going to take our jobs, it's going to take over the world in 2 years' time, and it's the end of everything. And it's very hard to then navigate that because you've got those two extremes. So you've got extremes of practical and pragmatic, and you've got extremes of it's going to take over the world, and it's going to kind of, actually it doesn't work. And yeah. What's helped me kind of navigate is actually, what are these things and what can they currently do? So how to understand that a little bit more. And if you think that they're probabilistic machines, they're not going to give you the right answer. They're going to give you, on average, this is the right answer.
Yeah.
So on average, this is the right answer, which is, if you want to have career coaching, here's some ideas about what that could look like. Fine, I'm quite happy with an average. It could be right, it could be wrong. I'm not really worried about that. But if you want to give somebody the real answer, so when we start talking about, should that person, should you be making this decision? I mean, if you're a brain surgeon or something that, really matters, right? Or if you're making a decision about how much concrete you need to buy to build the HS2, right? You need an accurate answer. AI is not, you're not going to want to rely on AI for that. So it's kind of like, well, what can it do? What can it do? And then within the role of coaching, trying to kind of navigate some of those things, realizing that it couldn't be more extreme in terms of the playing field that you're talking about.
Welcome in the bunny world for us as well. And actually, I will tell you something at the end, if you can have 3 minutes, 5 minutes at the end, because the thing is that we really need to work on our presence and being grounded in this bunny world to help our clients. And it's true that we are ourselves in the bunny world, and our clients are. So this is the complexity of the situation. But our added value is how do we work on ourselves so that we can think through this topic. There is Tammy.
Observation and a question actually as well. Thank you. So yeah, good discussion in my group. And I think there was a consensus that many of us are using AI as part of kind of setting up our businesses and this kind of labor saving productivity kind of tool. And then we moved into talking about actually AI in the coaching space. And the example that I brought was I had somebody arrive, a new coachee arrive the other day with an AI note taker. And it made me realise I should have been prepared for this eventuality. And a good discussion actually in my group and a helpful comment from one of the colleagues about actually I'm now going to update my contracting around that because it threw me. I was like, oh gosh, everything is being transcribed. I feel different about coaching. And in that moment, I couldn't perform. So yeah, Anna, any experience or tips from you about how you would handle that situation actually in the coaching space, and maybe a different perspective?
I would say that for me, coaching is a two-way. Meaning, in the chemistry meeting, we choose, they choose. It's not only we are like we are chosen by our clients. No, we choose as well. So we have agency on it, and therefore, same for the recording. If you don't feel at ease, the client, you say, I'm not at ease, which is normal. There are also studies who say that the recording is hindering the freedom and the safety of the conversation. But the safety is also for the coach, not only for the client. So if you don't feel like, you say no. And if, of course, and if you want to record, you ask the clients with an informed, perspective. So these are the risks. There are third parties, but there is GDPR, which is respected, and give a full information, and then they decide. And it's a two-way for me.
Yeah, thank you. I think I will look at my coaching contracting because I think that's a discussion I would like to have up front with potential coachees about whether I'm the right coach for them and whether this particular individual was had neurodiversity and his AI assistant was very helpful to him, and I understood that, but I wasn't prepared in that moment. So thank you.
Any other questions?
Consideration or thoughts in your group?
Did you have a contribution?
Yeah, it's amazing. Firstly, thank you. It's a very, very fascinating discussion. And I've been looking into this for a long time, just for my paper's sake. And it's sort of a confirmation of how I have been thinking about it, because there's no getting away from it. It is the future. And we need to embrace it in some shape or form. But then how far do you go and what you use it for is the key. I think finding that right balance and not being scared of it is the key. I think there are going to be AI coaches. There is going to be that cheaper version of us available to people that they can very easily access, and that is the fact. But I guess I'm more interested in that differentiation. How does a human connection still differentiate from a bot? And I think that will always remain. That part of it will always remain. You will have sophisticated AIs as we go through bots, as we go through, they will be emotionally more intelligent. They will give you responses like a human being to a certain extent. But I think it is still that physical connection between human beings is, I don't think, can ever be replaced. And that's my take at the moment. Just looking at where I am in this journey, because at work we use it a lot, and I'm still looking at it as a helper rather than something that's going to take over my job. So that's where I'm sitting with it right now.
Thank you, Dee. So what you're saying, it makes me think that I would say in a certain way, AI forces us to explore even more our humanity, and we are, what is our added value as human coaches, because AI will never embody emotions, whereas we know that emotions are embodied. They can talk about it, but they can sense our emotions, but they're not giving back. So it's a moment, as Paul was saying, philosophical questions. Who are we? What is what do we bring on the table? But I think it's good because really it forces us to work even more on us, on ourselves.
So yeah.
Sarah Jane?
Yeah, thank you, Anna, and thank you, Paul, and thank you, Dee, and thank you, Tammy. Really interesting. All of it's really fascinating, isn't it? Reflections. I guess one of the things I had wondered about, because I'm always looking for it's going to take our jobs, it was whether or not actually it just will increase demand for it. This idea that if in companies are able to provide coaching at lower cost, but further down an organization than just the senior team, and then there's this kind of recognition that coaching is actually really valuable, and yet being coached by a bot isn't quite exactly the same. That would generate maybe some more demand, and actually maybe it wouldn't be our enemy, but more our kind of our companion, in that would just sort of generate more demand for executive coaching, was one thought that I had anyway. And really, really interested in the thinking about how it can be useful to us. I'm fascinated by this idea of the apps that you talked about, Anna, about getting feedback, talking about getting specific feedback based on markers and things. I think that's fascinating. But that's where the whole contracting for it with clients, because I have found it really, as working mainly as an associate coach with organizations that are sensitive about about coaching being recorded, and also the point that you made, Anna, and that Tammy made, about how I just do think it does change the dynamic when things are recorded, both in me as a coach and in the client. So I'd be really interested to know how that works, how you contract for using that, and and how that works. But it's all lots of really good food for thought. So thank you.
And actually, concerning the demand of coaching, as I said at the beginning, there is a larger and larger demand, and we are not enough. As the therapists are not enough. It's a number question. But then there is there are limitations for the AI chatbot. That's why I really believe in the AI chatbot coach for entry levels, because anyway, it's not a space we take, and they need it. Otherwise, they have nothing, basically. And I wanted to say something else that I forgot. When you have a thought that goes into your brain, but it will come back. I will let you know.
Thank you, Anna. It's also made me think of supervising in sessions where coaches have expressed that they are starting to feel de-skilled in being in person with their clients just because of coaching through screens now. And it was when Dee was sharing that I thought about the sort of nervous system regulation, and how really in the coaching space, one of the biggest gifts we're giving at the moment in the middle of a mental health crisis is our ability to hold a space for a client where we're regulated in ourselves, and we then hold that so that the client can find themselves again. And that's something that AI can't yet mimic and do. That's a quality of presence that only humans can currently bring, but we bring it even more powerfully in person. And that's an art that's at risk of being lost in our profession, that actually in counselling and psychotherapy they're more aware of, actually, and insistent upon, in terms of session ratios and how many of them would be in person versus online. And in our profession, we're not giving, I don't think, a lot of thought to that. And I think we're at risk of becoming largely online and de-skilled at being in person. So, as coaches, just considering how do you keep that in the mix, even though this way of interacting is fabulous, brings lots of benefits to us, both one-to-one and in groups. How do we make sure we still stay in person because of the richness that that does bring? Claire?
I have, and now, sorry, Claire, I'm coming back. And Susie, just to say that it came into my mind, what I wanted to say is that there are AI chatbot coaches which are specialized to coaching between the session to support the action plan, and they show to be very efficient. And so this is a way to have enhanced coaching instead of being replaced, and these are useful, they're quite effective. There are also studies, university studies by Nikki Terblanche that shows the effectiveness of them.
That's fabulous. Hey, Claire.
It was just going from what you were saying earlier, Jane. We were talking about that in our group as well, until they have an AI that's able to analyze people's body language, that can sense the energy coming from somebody, all of those kind of non-verbal indicators of what's actually going on beneath the surface. I think we'll all have jobs for quite a while, yeah.
I like that thought of it enhancing things. Like we can't, we're part of nature, right? So we can't completely replace us. We're at risk of being extinct as it is. So yeah, filling in the gaps in between, that bit of the follow-up, the follow-through, the accountability that sometimes we don't have the capacity for as humans, with lots of other things going on in our lives beyond the coaching we do. I think that's really, really interesting. I hadn't thought on that. Susie, I noticed you had your hand up as well.
Yes. I wonder what part of my brain will get lazy or floppy or shut down using AI. That's one of my wonders. And I look reflecting on this. I think I've had a bit of a warm up, because with the background in the performing arts, a number of years ago now, 20 years ago or something, actors were going to be replaced by cartoon characters. And so there was a scare about that. And indeed, there was a lot of, cartoon creatures advertising washing powder and no human beings, but there was a voiceover from a real person. So there was less work, basically, for humans at that point. That's true. So that's one warm-up. The other warm-up, I think, is, of course, lockdown, when we couldn't work face-to-face and we were working online. And I work now as an executive coach online and face-to-face. And I get the difference between online. Online's great. Online is great because it means that people all over the world can communicate, and we can talk in breakout rooms, and we can come to this. And in lockdown, it was really, really sustaining and important. Then going back into the room face-to-face, it was such a huge learning as to how much of a human you can be to human. And I'm nervous about AI. I mean, it's a wave now. We can't stop it. It's happening, and we've got to get on it. And so if I just put my, I don't know, if a machine is giving me replies to how I'm doing on the on my PCC work, I don't know. I just think, well, that used to be a human that would respond to me, and now it's a machine, or now it's an intelligence that. So I don't know. I have no answers. I just have the experience of it all. But I really I think that the things like vulnerability and empathy are just so important for us as human beings.
Yeah, and the right to make mistakes and to be imperfect. I wanted to finish with Jane, if I have 2 minutes, just to give some food for thought to conclude, because I asked for the help of a great philosopher that I like very much, is Aristotle. The only thing I sometimes, there is one thing for which I don't like him, is that he was he didn't like women. He thought that women were a second-class citizens. But apart from that, nobody's perfect. So what I want to talk about is, if I can use my mouse. So first of all is, upon Aristotle, eudaimonia is, or eudaimonia in English, is happiness, a mix of happiness, well-being, and upon Aristotle is the ultimate goal for a human life. It's not the circumstantial happiness, it's the real, the long-lasting happiness, which can, of course, where also some struggle is part of it, or the joy to overcome some struggle. But what I want to tell you is that he said that there are 3 intellectual virtues. So the techne is the capability of doing things with your hands, produce products. I make pasta every day, I use techne. And then the Sophia is, and so robot can do it. I mean, not all of it, but can do it. Sophia is the theoretical wisdom. So it represents the highest level of knowledge, and AI is getting there. But then there is the phronesis, and the phronesis I found the most interesting part, because it differentiates us from AI. Is connected to eudaimonia, and is the capability and virtue to determine the right actions to use in particular circumstances. So it's our critical thinking, is our decision making with awareness, is our taking action on something when we believe in. And all these are linked to the eudaimonia, because it means what makes us profoundly happy and what makes our clients profoundly happy. And this AI is not there. I'm not sure one day it will be there. But the other thing is that I was talking about imperfection, and enjoy your imperfections, because this is what makes us different. The fact that we need to understand our imperfections, we live with them, deal with them, and embrace them to overcome them, or to do whatever we can, or we cannot sometimes. So that's what makes us human. And I wanted to leave you with this.
Thank you so very much, Anna. What a beautiful way and fitting end to the conversation, given the different directions we've gone in, and then come back to the humanness that's required. And maybe we need more and more of that today, arguably, than ever before. Depth of connection with each other. So thank you all for connecting here in this space tonight with us. Thank you so much, Anna, for giving up your time and sharing all of your insights. There's been so much rich learning there, lots of nods around the room. I think people have really appreciated what you've brought tonight. The recording link I've popped in the chat, so the video will be up within about a week. And I've also shared the links that any of those of you that want your ICF CCEUs to follow that. And then the next workshop we have is a panel discussion, actually not a workshop. Our next meet the same second Monday of the month, but in July on the 14th, same time, same link, Zoom link, and we'll be joined by Pete Mosley, Sarah Manley, and Nadia Finer, who are all very well versed in the complexities of introvert coaching and all that means. So please do come back and join us again, should you like to be there for that. And we've had requests, Anna, for a continued conversation. So, so we'll be in touch. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.